All right. There's always this question going back and forth about what are the earnings of black men and black women, and the numbers of and percentages of black men that are anywhere from high earning to what's the median wage and all that rigmarole, right? And we quote them. We always quote it. We quote what they are, but the thing is, we seldom actually show what they are, right? And I've gone back and forth, looked at various sources, even though it doesn't say it on this one. I'll see if I can find it. The last stat that I saw, the median earnings of a black male, adult black male, was $26,000. Now that black male probably isn't full time, probably works part time. It probably doesn't work all year long. Got to remember the minimum wage is not even $15. Okay, $30,000 is a year is $15 an hour minimum wage, and Biden's trying to fight for that. So we know that the median wage probably is not the one that they quote, okay, which is $42,000. Okay, it's not, probably not, and you got to be careful how they count this stuff. So we're going to use our trusty calculator to actually help us figure out these numbers, okay? What I'm using right now, and people can actually question it if they want, but this is I'm showing you the document right now, the Department of Labor. So the BLS, Department of Labor and Statistics. This is the official document when it comes to earnings and how many people are working and all that kind of stuff. Even at that, they fudge numbers, but this is the best that we have. So we're going to go through some of this, and with the emphasis on black men and black women, and count these numbers. I also have a document that's from the Social Security Office, like mid-2019, that's going to give further elucidation on what we're actually doing right now. So without further ado, let us begin. Like I said, you're reading it right now. News release, BLS, Thursday, January 21st, 2021. The usual earnings of wage and salary workers, fourth quarter 2020. Median earnings of the nation's 111.5 million full-time wage and salary workers were $984. In other words, when they count, you see a lot of these averages and medians and stuff like that. Sometimes they're not counting everybody. They're talking about full-time. Keep that in mind. One thing I want to highlight when it comes to race, black men at $810 per week, full-time, got to remember, are only 73% of white man's dollar. So keep that in mind as we go forward. 73%. So when we do our totals, we're going to use that number. So keep that number in mind. One thing I wanted to point out, after 2019 and 2020, the highest earners in an age group for men of course, with ages from 45 to 64. Keep that in mind. It's another one, because what Kevin is saying about a high value man being in his 40s is spelled out by BLS. Well, we're gonna learn today, right? We're gonna learn together today. We could read all the how they sampled this and eligible households and stuff like that. Today we're not gonna go through that, right? We're gonna make this quick and easy. We're already 5 minutes in. We don't want it to get too technical, and y'all ain't gonna go through this technical shit anyway. Another thing I want to highlight, okay, when we go back to 10 years ago, we had a total of 101 million workers on this BLS survey. We peaked out in 2019 at 118 million, and we're currently, we went all the way down to we lost 14 million full-time workers, and we're currently sitting, depending on how they calculate it, at 111 million. So let's go forth. 2019, we had roughly half the black adults working. I remember there's 25% of the black population is under the age of 18. Let's keep that in mind. We have approximately 16 million working. So basically, only half of our adult population that's black is actually working. So in 2019, we had 7.3 million black men working. In 2020, we lost like 500,000. So we're below 7 million. We're at 6.7 million, 6.8 million for black men working, and we're at 7.5 million black women working. In 2019, so when we talk about median workers, and we quote that average or that median, black men in 2019 earned $778 per week, which is right around a little over $41,000 a year. In 2020, they earned $810 a week. That was the median earnings for a full-time worker, which is a little over $42,000 a year. For black women in 2019, they earned $738 per week, which is a little over $38,000. And in 2020, they earned $775, which is a little over $40,000. So basically, everybody went up 2,000. But the thing is, we dropped 500,000 workers per side, so there's less workers making the same money. Here's something interesting about the age range and how much people make. Okay, and with the number of workers and also how much they make. If we look at black men or black people from 16 to 24, there are only 677,000 black men from 16 to 24, which is the smallest number, but they make the least amount of money. They make $584 a week or $30,000 a year. That's the median. Whereas over 25, once they get over 25, which we always talk about, from 25 years and older, which is the bulk of the black male workers, they make $850 a week. So when you subtract the smaller amount of men, younger men, the numbers go up. So $850 a week times 52, that's $44,000. If you look at it on the women's side, there's slightly fewer workers at that age, which I find strange. And there's only 624,000, and they also make less money, which is 29,000. Not much less, but less. But here's a striking thing. Look at the numbers of the bulk of the men in marriageable age range from 25 to 54 years. There's less than 5 million of them. That's the number that stood out for me. There's less than 5 million. There are 500,000 more working women at that age. Now, even though the salaries are not that far apart, there's actually, say, 42,000 versus what 41,000? Look at the numbers, though. The numbers really dropped. Look at the numbers at workers between 16 and 24. There's actually more men working. There's actually more men working between the ages of 16 to 24, which I find strange. But look, after the age of 55, which is the boomers, which are out of range, right? Those are the people making the money. Look at the big jump. As Kevin says, men get more valuable as they get older. But I thought that part was kind of interesting. So now here's where it gets juicy. Now this is BLS, okay? And we're only talking about full-time salaried workers. We're talking about full-time salary working for black men, that's less than 7 million. 6,785,000 full-time workers. Okay, that's where it gets interesting. The bottom 10 of black men make right around $21,000, give or take. And this is full-time. It's not all men. This is the bottom of this group. This is the bottom of this 7 million. At the 25% mark, at the 25% mark and below, it's about $30,000 a year. And this is where it gets interesting. This is the median. This is the 42,000. This is the people in the middle of this group. Remember, it's only 7 million. This right here, which is the third quartile, which is the 75% mark. Believe it or not, if you're in the top, if you want to be in the top 25% of all men, all black men working, not all black men, but all black men of this particular group, that's $62,000 a year. And if you want to be in the vaunted top 10%, it's $91,000 a year. Top 10% is not six figures. It's $91,000 a year. I do believe last year it was a little higher. I'm going to post the calculated numbers over and pose it over this so you can actually see, but you can actually go through it and run the numbers yourself. Remember, we're not talking about all 16 and a half, 17 million black men. We're only talking about less than 7 million of them, less than half. That's what we're talking about. When we split these numbers out, that's what we're talking about. We're spitting out averages and medians is about right around that $40,000 mark or that $30,000 mark. We're talking about this number of men, less than half of the adult black males in the United States. That's including the boomers that are out of the marriage market that make like 20% more. This is also where it gets interesting because here's where we're going to talk about just the people that are recorded. I don't know if they count gig workers and people that do Uber on the side or people do yard work on the side that don't report earnings or not part of this list. Because I'm sure there's more black men working than just 7 million or the 8 million that's counted. So I'm sure there ain't no 50% of black men that ain't working. I would say closer to, I think the Brookings Institute says there were 20% of black men that didn't have a salary, that showed no earnings. And that was in 2018. People always doubt it, but guess what? Numbers don't lie, okay? When they say 20% of black men show no earnings, it's more like 50. But the thing is, it depends on how they count it. For black men, scroll down so you can see number of workers in the thousands in that particular column. For people that are not full-time, there's 3 million of them versus I do believe it was the 16 million. There's 3 million people that are recorded at part-time. In 2019, there's 25 million that are recorded as part-time. In 2020, so we're talking about 25 million. So you add those two together, it's about, that's what I said, it's probably about 16, 17 million black workers altogether that have been recorded. Look at this. I'm going to tell you there's about 1 million black men that are part-time, 987,000 according to the BLS. Number of workers. What did they earn? Look at this. Black men, these 987,000 that are part-time workers, about 1 million black men. The median earnings was $288 a week. Median earnings, $288 a week. What is that? These are your part-time workers. These are your minimum wage workers. That's $14,000, $15,000 a year. That sounds about right. These are your part-time minimum wage workers. There's about 1 million of them. Look, there's double the amount of women in the same category. Look at this. 1.5 million. And they earn about the same. About $14.5 thousand a year. So you add the 6.87 to the 590,000, you get like 8 million workers, which is half the population of black males. It's half the population of black males. So when we talk about black men and black males and black mating and who works and who doesn't, we can only go by stats because the underground workers or the gig economy, very difficult to count, but I'm sure it's pretty close to what this is. Black men aren't earning what people think they are. In the top 10%, starts at 91,000. The median, the average, which is probably closer to the median, the median of full-time workers, we ain't talking about all black men, full-time workers, is 42. It's 42. And that represents 50% of the adult black males. of the adult black males that work, which is only about, like I said, the median that was at 42 was only, it was less than 6 million people. The median was less than 7 million people. We showed it according to the BLS. So there's 10 million black males that are unaccounted for. Well, we counted for the other million, and they're in like 15,000. And I would suspect that most of the black males that are unaccounted for are closer to the $15,000 a year than they are to 42. So I said the median earnings of black males is $26,000 a year, not 42. When you count all income, there's other things I could actually show you with this. It's interesting when you dig into the data and you start making comparisons, and you actually start showing numbers of workers and how many there are and what they earn, or it starts to put more things into detail. I remember it's when they do BLS, they do these stats. They're not talking about everybody. They're not talking about the whole population. When you mix the whole population with the people that aren't working, along with the people that are working, and then you start putting up those averages and the medians, they drop. Okay, they do drop. They drop quite a bit. So I got one more thing to show you. It's coming from the Social Security Administration. I think I might have shown it last year. I'm not quite certain, but I'm going to show you that, and we're going to wrap all this stuff up with. But remember, black men only make 73% of what a white man makes. Keep that in mind. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to show you, and we're going to get out of here. Keep in mind that there's only 8 million working, less than 8 million working black men. Okay, out of the 17.1 of adult black males. And also got to remember that black men earn 73% of what white men earn. So this is the wage statistics for 2019 done by the Social Security Administration. And they went through all the different wage structures. But what I like what they did, they actually ranked them by percentage, which is quite interesting. Because we always talk about the bottom 10%, and BLS, the bottom 10% earned right around, I would say $21,000 for full-time salaried workers, blah, 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 right? Bottom 10% earned $21,000 a year. Okay, part-time, the median wage for part-time workers was $15,000 a year. Median for people that are part-time, right? But the bottom 10% of all Americans, right? However they earn their money, okay, hustle, Uber, whatever, right? The bottom 10% of all Americans earn less than $5,000 a year. Look at that. Less than $5,000 a year. Then at the bottom 10% of Americans, all Americans, adult people earn less than $5,000 a year. So I'm not even going to kick in the 73%, right, of what a black man makes on a white man dollars. I think at these levels that it doesn't really register, right? It really doesn't make any sense. And the 2019 was a better year than 2020. Keep that in mind. 2019 was a much better year than 2020 before the COVID. The bottom 20% of all Americans made less than $10,000 a year. Shall we go on? Remember how the quintile rate, I think the quintile rate for BLS, that was for black Americans. We ain't talking about all Americans, right? Was basically 30,000, right? The actual quintile rate, the bottom 25%, made less than 15,000, which is closer to the part-time rate. Closer to the part-time rate. I think this is the actual number, the actual average, in my opinion, of what Americans make. It's about 25%. If you kick in, we're gonna just do this for shits and giggles. If you kick in that a black dollar is 25% less of a white dollar, and you kick it in, then the average black man, not average black man, the black man at the 25% rate, or black men that are at 25% of black men and lower, make about $10,000 a year, which matches up to the child support rate. Most of the guys that owe child support make less than $10,000 a year. Most black men get locked up for child support make less than $10,000 a year. This is closer to real, okay? And this is not some janky government agency. This is Social Security. They count your money. They count every dollar for Social Security. We're going to skip 32. We're going to skip the bottom 32. We're going to get right to the median rate. Get right to the median rate. At 50%, the average American makes $35,000 or less, between $30,000 and $35,000. Well, $35,000 or less is the median rate for all Americans. If you take what I said about the black dollar being worth 25% less than the white dollar, which is actually, if you talk about black men versus white men, it's actually 27. But if you take that 0.73 of the white dollar, the average or the median rate would be what? $25,000, which is what I said earlier. The median rate, the median earnings of a black male, all black men in the United States, the median is $26,000 a year, which this basically confirms. Median rate is not $42,000. Median rate is $26,000. If we kind of figure out that the majority of the people in this country are white and we are a smaller percentage, it's pretty safe to say that the median earnings of black people is like 25% less than white. And that basically, from all I've seen, this is pretty close to the median. So I would postulate that the median earnings of a black male today, 50%, is around $26,000 a year. We can even give him 27. Fuck it. Throw in 27,000. Throw in another $1,000 a year, which is far below the 30,000. Now, for shits and giggles, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna hit. Might as well hit them, right? We're gonna hit the 25% rate, which is right there, 76. Okay. What is the median? What is the at the 25% rate? The top 25% earners earn between $60,000 and $64,000. So we're gonna give it $65,000 a year, right? That is at the 25% rate. Shits and giggles. We're gonna figure in the white factor. Now we put in the white factor, okay? Now I am not gonna even mess with it, okay? I'm gonna leave the 25% right around $65,000. Top 25% all in is $65,000. We put in the white factor. We're talking about 47.5. But I think that's a little low. I'm gonna give my brothers a break today, okay? As far as the top 25% of all black men, give our brothers a break. You can go back and do the numbers yourself, okay? But this is just shits and giggles. This is just shits and giggles. Top 20%. We're going to use the 81. Closest one is 81. Above and below, right? Top 20%. All men. $75,000 a year. So basically, $75,000 a year puts you in the top 20%. Shits and giggles. Shits and giggles using a white factor says $54,000 a year, $55,000 a year. Like I said, when you get up into these ranges, I do believe we can give black men a break because because when you get into skilled trades and stuff like that, you start to equalize out. So I'm gonna give black men a break and say the top 20% starts at $75,000 a year. Shits and giggles. Okay. And the last one that we're gonna do. Instead, we're gonna use the top 10%, which is right here. Below, above, and below. Top 10%. Top 10% of white men starts at 105. Of all Americans starts at 105. The majority of them are white. Throw in some Asians, throw some others. That's where you get 105,000 gets you top 10%. We already looked at the BLS marker. The BLS marker says for black men, it's 91,000. For salaried workers. But of course, since we're already in a row, we're going to do some shits and giggles, right? Shits and giggles says 76,000. Now, this is as far as I'm going to go. I'll put the link to the chart in the description. Go look for yourself. I'm sure you guys are all geeks, man, because most of y'all are engineers and STEM geeks and all kinds of shit, man. So I'm sure you guys are going to fudge the numbers. The numbers are there. I've told you what I've used. You got to remember that we're counting all this. Social Security is counting all people, most of the adult people. So when they count, they're counting a closer number of people. BLS was talking about right around 100, 110, 111,000 people. That's what BLS was counting. Social Security is counting 169 million people, which is far more, which is probably more accurate. The top 1%, I know everybody's going to ask, where is it? Right there. Top 1% starts at 300,000 and goes up. That's the top 1% are all earners. Take off a quarter, about a couple 100,000 for black men. Top 1%. But that is just shits and giggles. You guys can do your own numbers. But this is closer to the reality of what the situation is. So, with that, I hope you guys had a good time. I'm sure it's going to be really interesting. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.